Hello everyone, and welcome to Film Sandwich. I'm Kid Ron Burgundy.
And I'm Mark.
And on today's episode, we are going to have a no hands-on preview discussion of the Panasonic GH6. What are you doing?
Hands-on.
And it's no hands-on.
Keep your eyes closed. Don't look into some of your eyes open. Because there's no right way or wrong way. There's just my way, which is the right way. Isn't that right?
All right, everyone. So we are going to be talking about the GH6. We do not have the camera in our hands currently, but we do have, I am a GH5 user. I have the Panasonic GH5.
Apparently you're a 3 user.
Well, if you let me finish.
Maybe.
We have a Panasonic GH5 OG original. We have the Panasonic GH5 II, and then we have the Panasonic GH5S. Now, I bought the GH5 when it first came out. I think it was like 2017, don't quote me on that. And then shortly after that, I bought a second one, and we don't have that one here, and there's a story behind that. And then I bought the GH5S. Now, my other GH5, I was shooting some aquatic workout videos.
What happened there, Ron?
I have the cameras, pretty close to the pool, and my foot just accidentally hit the tripod leg, and then doosh, it went. So now, that's why I bought the GH5 II. I was hoping the GH6 would be out last year, but it did not. It did not come out.
It did not come out.
It was supposed to be like 2021. They said that it was supposed to come out, and then it didn't. And we don't know why. Maybe it was the chip shortage. Maybe they were like turning some screws in there to get just a little bit more out of it because they saw what other camera manufacturers are doing. Because the Canon R5, I mean, it's 8K. It'll do 8K video.
8K.
Right? So, what do we, look at the specs here. We got the sheet here. Tell us what you think there, Mark.
Hot specs right off the press here. A new micro four thirds sensor. Here's some of the cool specs. Actually, let me get the coolest spec. The coolest spec is 5.7K at 60p. And I tell you why. Because all the other specs, we kind of, 10-bit, you kind of expect it now. 422, kind of expect it now. 120 frames a second in 4K, yeah, you kind of expect it now. But shoot 5.7 at 60p, and that gives you some options. That's almost like poor man's 4K. We could just punch in, crop in, and do some things now.
Yeah, you could definitely do some reframing, or even like, scrunching it down to make it just a little bit more crispier.
And the ProRes is another good thing too.
Yep, when I was at lunch, before we decided to shoot this video, there was an article that I read off of Facebook. It was actually 43 Rumors was the website. And what they were talking about is they had a bunch of leaked images. There was some guy from Japan who made a full 30-minute video of like the GH6, the whole Lumix line.
And that could be Japanese right there, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, probably that. I think that's one of the images. So it had a whole bunch of leaked images, and it had a whole bunch of spec updates. So before they didn't announce this, but apparently you're supposed to be able to record in ProRes 422 HQ at 1.9 gigabytes per second.
That's insane. That's really cool.
That's insane. And instead of having the two, micro SD cards, the fast ones there.
Right.
The UHD ones. They also have a CF Express card that you'll be able to get. So they'll have one SD card and one CF Express card.
That's going to make that recording a lot more robust, for sure. So they actually got a lot of options as far as how quality and media and what you guys are going to be doing out there. I think the big thing about the GH5s, that everybody loves is the color space. I mean, the color space is awesome. And now that, look, if you're in the micro four thirds world, you're not going to jump to a full frame. But as you know, you've been following the channel, I've been looking at the Canon R5, now the R5C when it comes out. And for half the price of that, you're getting really close to the specs of that. I mean, it doesn't shoot 8K, but 5.7, you're getting up there as far as the spec go. And the price point for the performance at $2,500, what they have it listed, I tell you what, that's a really good price point. I mean, you start going with $5,000, $7,000, $8,000, $10,000 price cameras, you're really thinking a lot. $2,500, that's like you're one good job away you know, or 1.5 good jobs away of like, you know what, I'm just gonna grab it and get it.
Yeah, and you know, it does have some codec flavors there. It does the H.264, it does MOV, and then it'll do the ProRes, which is great. Like ProRes and internal. I mean, it doesn't say here because we're just speculating a little bit. It doesn't say here whether it's internal or external, but I'm assuming it's internal since they didn't specify external. But that's gonna, you know, give you some advantages in the pro world for sure.
Well, and also speaking about, you know, we haven't touched upon the stabilization. You know, this had like 5 axis before. Now it actually has more stabilization.
Yeah, here it says it's 7.5 steps of stabilization, and it's raising its audio from 16-bit to 24-bit. And if you get the little XLR adapter, you can record up to 4 channels of audio.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, you know, 24-bit, that gets you a little bit of wiggle room in post to do a little post-processing on that for sure, which is great.
And it says that it's boosting the dynamic range to 13 plus stops here.
What does boosting mean? Does it really mean 13 stops? I mean, is it like...
Well, there's also a little bit of talk of computational photography adding into this, which is really similar to, or the same kind of stuff that you have in your cell phones, you know, because you don't really have an 8K sensor in your phone. They're just doing some little...
Pixel shift or something, yeah.
Well, they're doing some other things internally, like program-wise, that does all of those things for you.
I mean, honestly, I think I speak for a lot of people when, hey, don't give me more pixels, give me more dynamic range. But apparently the camera manufacturers out there always want to give you more pixels. So if they bumped up the pixel to 5.7 and they bumped up the dynamic range all for the $2,500 price point,
yeah,
that could be a nice upgrade.
And that's another thing. This camera is $2,500, which that's how much the GH5S was when it first came out. Also, I want to say the GH5, no, not the GH5 II, that was less. GH5 was $2,000 when it first came out. Yeah, so $2,500. I mean, that's a pretty decent price point to get into like a really decent camera. Like, I love my GH5s. Mark likes to knock the GH5s. Like
not
that.
mine. It's
right.
not mine.
Yeah.
But I can knock them.
Yeah.
Don't knock them.
Don't touch my cameras, Mark. So anyways, Mark likes to likes to say that the GH5 isn't a viable camera.
I want to hate the GH5, but I cannot hate the GH5.
It has, like, you could just pull the footage right out of there and it's pretty much ready to go, shot in a standard color profile. There's not much you really need to do with it. I mean, of course you can shoot in Vlog, you can do all the color correction and all that, which I've done, and yeah, it looks great.
But you just pick it up and go,
but sometimes, you know, you're running and gunning, or you don't have a lot of time to edit, or maybe the budget just wasn't quite there for extreme color correction. So you want to get the best image you possibly can right out of the camera, and the GH5, I mean, it pretty much does that.
Good, but I mean, you shoot this every day.
There is the autofocus thing with the GH5s. I mean, would I say it's the greatest autofocus? No, not by any means. Does it work okay? Sure. You know, I mean, there's definitely scenarios that I use it for, like when I'm shooting a wedding and I'm on the Ronin. I'll put it in autofocus, and it does pretty well. I mean, a couple times here and there, it might hunt around for stuff. It just depends on if there's a big light change or anything like that. But they're saying that the autofocus on the GH6 is going to be 3 times better.
3 times better.
But they say that with every GH model.
Wow.
So we'll see. I mean, so far, Sony and Canon, I would say, are the king of the autofocus currently.
Yeah, I would say that, Sony and Canon
for like
for
a
sure.
cinema or DSLR style kind of, or mirrorless or whatever, since DSLR is going to the wayside for a lot of companies.
So let me ask you a question, Ron. So you're a wedding shooter, you go out there, you get, what is 3 GH6 gonna get you with the GH5s? What do you feel like, as far as the specs and how you would use them and do them? Like, just kind of go through your thought process on that.
You know, it's tough. I mean, there's the option of shooting in the ProRes, but you'd have to have a lot of card space. But it might be nice, like, say you're gonna shoot a wedding video where you don't have to capture the entire, you know, ceremony from front to back and all of the events. Maybe you're just getting clips of things. Then it could really work out. Definitely shooting in the 5.7K would be awesome. You know, and you could probably shoot that in H.264 or MOV probably. and that's still gonna look great. 5.7K 60 frames per second. I mean, you'll be able to do some slow motion on that and everything like that. The 4K 120, you'll probably get some really nice slow motion with that. I mean,
yeah, I once again, I come back to the spec that just kind of jumps off the page for me. It's a 5.760. You know, if you're a wedding shooter and delivering a 4K wedding, I'd put it 5.7 and leave it in 60 because you can interpret that footage. You instantly have slow motion. And crap, I got to crop in, or you know what? I was a little unshaky here. Put warp stabilizer, you know, and you're still gonna have the pixels to deliver a 4K final, which is great.
Yeah, and then notice that I'm looking at some pictures here on this website. I didn't have time to put all this stuff up because I literally just saw it right before we came to film. But it has some vents on the side, like where the HDMI cable is here. So it's probably gonna have a fan in there.
That sounds like yeah.
The
awesome.
GH5 now, it does not have a fan, and I really put it through its paces. I mean, it takes a while for this thing to overheat. I mean, I was in direct sunlight in Florida sun for like 4 or 5 hours before it overheated. And it didn't overheat where it's like, okay, I'm gonna shut down now. It just said after I stopped recording, hey, I'm not gonna be able to record anymore with this heat.
I'm a little tired.
Right.
Just a little tired.
So I had to let it sit down.
That's like me. I gotta sit down and heat sometimes.
Inside the house.
And I gotta sit down in the house too, myself.
In the air conditioner.
Me too.
Right. And then, let it sit. And then after that, it was good to go again. And it did not ruin any footage.
That's like me, your second shooter, then it'd be good to go again.
Right. I think it's a pretty good upgrade from the regular GH5. I mean, if you're gonna get, I would say, into DSLR or mirrorless cinema style filmmaking or anything like that, I think it's a good entry, probably like a really good entry level camera. I mean, it has features that are above entry level, but I think the price point is entry level. Yeah,
$2,500. Oh, and here's the thing, another thing off the top of my head. 4 channels audio, if you get the XLR stuff, which is great. 24-bit, awesome. 5.7, 60, awesome. 120, awesome. 422, awesome. All bunch of flavors of ProRes, awesome. Make it easy for your non-linear system. And yeah, Micro Four Thirds, you can laugh at it, oh, it's not full frame, but you know what? Like I said, every time I want to hate these cameras, when Ron brings them out, I'm like,
yeah, I mean, I'll have footage up on my screen, and Mark like, that looks pretty good. I'm like, GH5, baby.
Yeah, so
I think that, it's not going to be a competitor to, say, the R5, because it's, half the price, and it kind of has half the
pixels.
Half the pixels. But I think, if you're just getting into, videography and stuff, it's a great camera to, $2,500. That's pretty good, And you got a fully fledged camera that'll shoot 5.7K in 60 frames.
Which my FX9 doesn't even shoot 5.7K. Hello, firmware FX9. Anytime now.
Where's the 6K at?
Where's
FX9?
the 6K, buddy?
Anyways,
that wraps it up.
So I think that wraps it up here. So we're gonna ask you to, well, first let's say something that we should have said at the beginning. Panasonic is not sponsoring this. This is all our opinions. Nobody's paying us any money.
And this right here is not a GH6.
In fact, if anything, we're gonna spend some money to either rent or buy that camera
more heavy
when it comes out.
You put rocks in here? It's heavy.
So please like and subscribe, hit the notification bell so you get updated whenever we drop new content. And
send us a recipe for cookies because I'm hungry for a cookie.
And that's it. I'm Kid Ron Burgundy.
And I'm Mark.
See ya.
Keep your eyes closed. Don't look into some of your eyes open. Because there's no right way or wrong way. There's just my way, which is the right way. Isn't that right?